Hello and welcome to the April 2015 edition of Ask AS21 on the 21st. I'm Keith F. Shufflin, Executive Officer and Chief Creative of AS21 Publishing, a new kind of publisher where we ask what do you want your book to be? Now, here I am back for another month. I'm ready to answer any questions you might have about writing, publishing, or marketing books. You can tweet at us at AS21 or tweet with the hashtag AskAS21. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/AS21Publishing. We're on Tumblr at as21.tumblr.com. It also could be found on LinkedIn, on about.me, and pretty much any social media you can think of. We're on Instagram at as21.events, where we share photographs of our book signings, book festivals, and other types of events. And we're also on Pinterest at as21, pinterest.com/as21. So any way you want to reach out to us, go right ahead. I'll be here for up to half an hour today to answer any questions you might have. Catch up with what's been going on. So in addition to this monthly web series, AS21 also has a monthly podcast series, Publish Me, I host with author Paul Dickinson Russell. Paul is working on his first novel, the fantasy epic, The Will of the Magi. That podcast comes out on the 7th of each month, which Paul is still in the writing process. So what happens is he calls me up and we talk and gives me an update on where he is in the writing process. And each month we'll also visit different parts of the book. So whereas we're now 4 episodes in, this month's episode, we covered the characters, and he gave a bit of background in the main characters, especially those that he's completely fleshed out in writing of the book so far. In the upcoming edition, the May edition, he'll be talking about the rules of his fantasy world. Also, we have another podcast, the Passion on the Page Poetry Podcast, which comes out every 3 weeks. Regularly features our 4 AS21 creatives that have released poetry. That's Phil Sipkov, Sheila Bowler, Bianca Palmisano, and Deepan Chatterjee. We just released our most recent episode on April 13th, featuring Dr. Chatterjee reading his award-winning poem, Kaleidoscope, from his book of poetry and short fiction, The First Prophetical. The next episode coming out on May 4th will actually feature a guest poet, poet Katie Hogue, who actually contributed to our first edition of our annual magazine last fall. She reads a poem called Unrelenting. Now, as part of our rotation, we go for that podcast, it's our 4 creatives, a guest poet, and then other AS21 creatives will read a poem that inspire them. So that's all in all a 6-episode rotation that we're going through. And if you're interested in being one of our guest poets, visit media.as21.com, and there's a form there that you fill out and send in a copy of your poem, and if we accept, then we could set up a time to record you reading your poetry, and then you'll be put into the rotation. I believe we're currently planned out through September, but we're always welcome to have more guest poets as we continue on with the series. I imagine we'll be having far more guest poets as we go on, so that we don't exhaust the poetry work of our signed creatives. And because once episodes are out there, we may replay them, but we're not going to go through the entire books of our creatives. But we just ask them to pick 3 or 4 of their favorites, or in some cases some of their favorites, and then new works that they've been working on or written. So podcasting is a good way to reach out to people when you're trying to market and sell your book. You can do a web series like this where you talk about the process you're going through. You could do an audio series where you're either talking about the process or you're reading chapters of your book, either as you're writing it, which I don't wouldn't recommend completely because you probably want to have the book completely finished before you start really sharing it with the world. But once you do, you can do an audio series where you're reading the book. That's the author and entrepreneur Scott Sigler has a podcast series where he regularly will read chapters from his books. And then, of course, he'll have a weekly, once a week, we'll have a recap episode where he'll discuss the background of his business, but also upcoming books, upcoming events, and things like that. It's a good podcast. I highly recommend it. And then, of course, you could just have a podcast where you're just talking about things that are important to you. Talk about the things that you like. Talk about, well, just the things that interest you. If you're writing a fiction book, just talk about that, either reality or that world that your fiction is writing in. Or talk about, if you're writing a fantasy book and you want to host a podcast about fantasy, you can talk, do that and talk about Tolkien, talk about C.S. Lewis, talk about George R.R. Martin, pretty much any of the top fantasy authors. There's a wealth of information there that is open for commentary. I'm sure, I know there's obviously a lot of people already out there doing that, especially in the case of Tolkien with the Lord of the Rings trilogy and the Hobbit trilogy, and Martin with Game of Thrones. But you have a voice. You have a right to be able to share it with the world. So podcasting really isn't that hard to set up. There's a lot of good free audio editing software, and there are a number of great podcast hosting sites that you could work with. For aois21, we actually work with 2 different sites, one for each one of our podcasts. For Publish Me, we work with Podomatic, and they offer us a good amount of bandwidth and a good amount of storage space. Then for Passion on the Page, we use SoundCloud. SoundCloud is more well-known, more popularly known a podcast hosting service, and they offer pretty good startup accounts, with a good amount of bandwidth and storage space for your podcast. There was a little bit of a lag time on getting your podcast RSS approved, but once you did, it's pretty easy to get it uploaded to iTunes or other podcast share sites like Stitcher Radio, and there's a few others out there. Now, the top podcast hosting service is Libsyn, Libsyn. And I've heard a lot of good things about them, but I don't believe they have any free accounts right now. I think everything is by a subscription fee. So once you bring on more people and you have a solid rate of listeners, and you maybe bring in some advertising, then it's worthwhile to get a Libsyn account. So checking around the web, let's see. All right, so I'm on Facebook at facebook.com/aois21. Of course, most people are obviously not watching this live, but once I'm done doing this, this will be a recorded video. Will be saved on the aois21 YouTube channel, along with our several other web series. Our main other web series, in addition to this one, is our monthly author interview series, Creative Speaking. This month, we released part 3 of our interview with poet Bianca Palmisano, which she talks about the core things she needs in order to get in the mood for writing. Several of our authors have sat down for their interviews. We're hoping to record a couple more this weekend, and once we have that, then you'll get to see some more of our creatives coming to you in these 2 to 3 minute clips, which they'll talk about their work and their process and what inspired them to be able to complete their works. Now, of course, let's say this weekend, because this weekend is the Kensington Day of the Book Festival here in Kensington, Maryland, just north of Washington, D.C. aois21 will be there all day from 11 to 4 for their open air festival. And it's going to be open rain or shine. We'll have a table out. And we officially announced today our schedule for our authors coming out. And that was announced via our weekly email that we put out through MailChimp. Let's see. Nothing coming in Facebook or checking again on Twitter. And I could talk for this whole half an hour, but which technically I'm doing since nobody's chiming in directly with questions, and even if they did ask a question, I'll most likely be answering it entirely by myself. But that still doesn't mean I don't want to hear from other people. And obviously this whole series was created with the idea of being able to help authors out there who are either self-publishing or just, are in the writing process and just want to get some help. So that's why I'm here. All right, no questions on Twitter, none on Facebook. And looks like nothing on LinkedIn either. I did a lot on Goodreads this week. Excellent site for readers out there to be able to share what they're reading, as well as reviews of everything as they finish it. Of course, we as a publishing company try to make sure that each one of our authors are well represented, having their books on there. And they provide links to the sites where it's for sale and pretty much give people a chance to have their work be reviewed and be out there in a reputable source. And everyone that reads the book is asked to give a rating, and if they give a rating, then they're also asked to write a review. And of course, that's the best thing that any author could hope for, is getting a review, either good or bad. And reviews are helpful because good reviews may, of course, lead to new readers, or give you inspiration for you to move forward on another work. Bad reviews can actually do the same thing. I mean, some people may see a bad review and go, well, it can't be that bad. I should read it to find out. So, let's see. So as I was saying about this Sunday, April 26th, at the Kensington Day of the Book, I'll be there all day from 11 to 4 at the aois21 table. Joining me from noon to 2 p.m. is Bianca Palmisano. From 1 to 3 p.m. is Dr. Deepan Chatterjee. And from 3 to 4 p.m. is Eileen Vega. So come out during those times, you'll get to meet the authors, and they'll have, in the case of Dr. Chatterjee and Bianca, they'll have print copies of their books with them, as well as we'll have electronic copies for sale on USB flash drive. Eileen's book is currently only available as an ebook, so we'll have that available as a USB flash drive. Eileen's book is doing quite well on Amazon and was our bestseller for the month of February. So that's Dating as Told by the Modern Whore, a nonfiction collection of stories from her interesting dating life. I highly encourage you to check it out. It's a good read. We've gotten some excellent reviews for it on Amazon and Goodreads. I think we're up to 3, 4, 5-star reviews on Amazon at this point. It's April 21st. We're getting to the end of another month. Coming up on May 8th is actually the birthday party for aois21 Publishing. It's been a whole year since we officially launched, and we couldn't be prouder of the work we've been able to do over the past year. Since then, when we officially launched in May of last year, I think we were only at 5 authors total. That would include me, Phil Tsipkov, Sheila Bowler, Shayla Morris, and Ian Roberts. And soon after, we added Bianca Palmisano and Joshua M. Morgan. Joshua, whose book Pockets, the children's book, just came out in time for Easter. And of course, since then, we've also added Dr. Deepan Chatterjee, author of the first pathetical. Paul Dickinson Russell is working on his fantasy book, The Will of the Magi. Eileen Vega with her book, Dating as Told by the Modern Whore. And yeah, I think, yeah, good. Well, I believed I had everybody. I'm making sure I didn't forget. Of course, Sheila Bowler's book of poetry, What This Black Woman Knows. Bianca's book of poetry, The Empty Spaces. Shayla's fiction romance novel, A Satisfied Black Woman. Ian Roberts with his fiction novel, Nos Populus. Then Philip Tsipkov has 2 books, a book of poetry, Early Thoughts of a Young Man, and a historical biography, Escape from Destiny. Now, coming up, like I said, coming up May 8th is our birthday. We have a bunch of announcements that we're getting ready to make on that day. Right before then, my 3rd book, 48 Game Misconduct, will be coming out. That's next Tuesday, April 28th. It's currently available for pre-order for a penny. And of course, if you wait until April 28th, you can get the book for free. I'm offering that one up for free. It's a nonfiction book, a sports memoir. I wrote, essentially, it's a compendium of my Tumblr that I ran during the course of the shortened 2013 NHL season. The NHL had a lockout through the first half of the season and started up games in late January. It was the 3rd lockout it had had in the past 20 years. I was so unhappy with it that I decided that I was going to boycott the season, this 48-game season, and launched a blog in which I looked back into hockey's history and the best players, the best teams, ownership, league, league presidents. Just looked back at all those different things that are memorable about hockey, and the things I liked about hockey growing up. And of course, also I was able to get my hands on some of the old schedules, the original schedules. Was able to look at what was supposed to happen on that day if they hadn't have had the lockout and the truncated schedule of that season. So now, it's been 2 years since that season ended, but it's kind of, I finished, the Tumblr sort of shut down once the season ended, and I kind of bundled it all together and put it on a shelf, and focused on launching aois21 over the past year and a half. Now I decided to move forward with it now that we're in the playoffs of another NHL season. And that book will be available for free download next Tuesday, April 28th. Now, of course, it's more than just the Tumblr that it started as. There's new content available. Unfortunately, A lot of the things I had where I had pictures from games, logos, pictures of arenas, and other things. Those won't be included in the book unless they're pictures I took myself, as we obviously I did not have trademark permission from the NHL. But it's the key to the content was the commentary, and so the commentary persists with a new forward and defense at the end of the book. So feel free to visit market.aois21.com next week. It'll also be available on a number of other sites, Amazon, the iBookstore, Kobo Books, Smashwords. So look out for that next Tuesday, the latest book from aois21 Publishing. And as of once that book is available, we will be at 12 titles. No, it's more than 12. Sorry, I mean, let's see. So that would be Dating as Told by the Modern Whore by Eileen Vega, Early Thoughts of Young Men by Philip J. Sipkow, The Empty Spaces by Bianca Palmisano, Escape from Destiny by Philip J. Sipkow, The First Prophetical by Deepan Chatterjee, my books, Life's Penance, Polk Soliloquy, and 48 Game Misconduct, Nos Populus by Ian Roberts, Pockets by Joshua M. Morgan, A Satisfied Black Woman by Shayla Morris, and What This Black Woman Knows by Sheila Bowler. 12 books. Sorry, I'm just doing the math in my head because we have 10 signed authors. One hasn't released a book yet. I have 3. Phil has 2. So that's 3 on top of that. Yeah, 12. Okay. All right, so it is now 9:23, so we're only going to be on for another 7 minutes. So get your questions in. Nothing on Twitter. So I was inspired to do this web series based off of a talk I saw by entrepreneur Pat Flynn at the Agents of Change conference in Portland, Maine last September. And he actually does this far more frequently than once a month, but that's because he was getting a lot of questions from the beginning, and he decided that rather than answer them individually through email, that he would do a web series where he would answer the questions. And I think it's at least weekly. It might even be daily at times. So, excuse me, my throat was getting a little dry there. So for some reason, there's a gross disconnect between the time on my watch, my phone, and on the computer here. So that's sort of checking all 3. So our birthday celebration, part of our birthday celebration will be the release of our brand new website, the brand new aois21.com. Our original website, which you currently can access, is run through Google Sites, which is a free platform. It served us well when we were starting out, but now that we have a stronger footing, and we decided to go with a more professional organization. So we've partnered with Squarespace, and we've been working on the brand new Squarespace site for the past 5 months, and it'll be up and live on Friday, May 8th. And for us, it's a lot more professional looking site. Our market will be a lot more organized. Our current market is powered by PayPal. The new one will be, all of our books will be available through Stripe. which is the commerce partner for Squarespace, but our services will still be able to be purchased through PayPal. And those, of course, are the services we have available to any self-publishers. That's our editing. We can provide access to our editing team, our cover designers, the staff that do digitalization and ebook conversion. We have a number of packages available where you lump it together, and those, of course, if you're just a self-publisher and you want to, just want to do the part separately, that's the way to do it. If you sign with us as an AS21 Creative, a lot of that is included. Although some things like the individual editing cost and depending on the designer you choose to work with, or the type of design you want to have, there's, of course, additional cover design costs. All of our designers work by commission. Each of them is asked to, of course, they put their own value on their own work and their time. And we didn't want to limit them by making them work under an hourly rate. Plus, we wanted to be more honest with our potential clients by not quoting a price, but then changing it based on whatever the hourly rate ended up working out as being. So let's see, 927. Once again, that's hashtag AskAce21 is your way to reach us. If you don't just, sending us a direct tweet, direct message, or a Facebook message, all of which are good. I'll get all, I have the whole internet in front of me here, so anything anybody wants to ask, I'm here. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep on talking about the great things we have available, the great services, the great books, the great people we have at AS21 Publishing. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the April 2015 edition of Ask AS21 on the 21st. It's unfortunate that still, once again, no questions, but, I'm going to keep on coming. I'm going to keep on broadcasting. I'm going to keep on sharing what I know and what I can, hopefully, things that will help you. This is a service we provide just for primarily for self-publishers. Of course, anyone who's doing it with us or with another publisher is more than welcome to watch these videos as well and glean the information as it comes forth. I hope you enjoy it. Remember to feel free to comment below or like or dislike this video as you see fit. Please keep your comments civil. I can understand you may want to make a personal attack on me, but that is your choice. I can always ignore you. But any other comments, I'm more than welcome to Hey, if you have questions any other time during the month, you can email me, pub@aois21.com, pub@aois21.com. Of course, aois21 is on Twitter at aois21. I'm personally on Twitter at now it's the Irish spelling of my last name, Shovlin, but it's spelled like Shovlin. It's SEIBHLEAIN. So you can follow me there, or send messages or questions to that. And of course, we're on Facebook, LinkedIn, Tumblr, Pinterest, Instagram, About Me. I'm also personally on MeWe and Ello. I haven't done too much with those yet. Google Plus, of course. Watching this as a Google Hangout, you got to be on Google Plus. We're also on Skype at aois21 if you want to call us. Our regular phone number for if you have any questions is 571-206-8021. That works 24 hours a day. So feel free to give us a call. All right, thank you very much, and hopefully I'll see you next month. Good night.